Alright, so I'm Herbshot Plummer and we are in video 1 of Identifying the Problem. I'm a teacher here at Haskell Junior High and I'm an intern at Prairie View A&M University, studying to get my master's in administration. Okay, so just go back through. So briefly, my site supervisor is Mr. George Beckworth. And the purpose of this speech is to conduct a needs assessment focused on improving ESL writing outcomes and various contents. Alright, so we did our introductions, we did our formalities, so I just want to go over our group norms again, that we are going to, the first one was that, y'all help me out, we disagree with people, but not ideas. We're present and proactive, and then Mr. Broussard, what was the last one?
Everybody participates.
Everybody participates. This is a group effort. This affects all of us and so forth. Okay, so we did our district campus shot. Okay. We can skip that.
My bad.
Oh, you were. I thought you were helping me out. Okay. We went over our district type. We went over who's in the room. We know we have teachers in social studies, we have a science teacher, we have a math teacher, and we have another, and we also have a special education teacher. So we know we're trying to move our kids from advanced to advanced high. Okay, so let's kind of refresh our data. So statewide, we know TEL passing writing, and we have 6% that's our beginners. We have intermediate at 36%. We have advanced at 44%. We have advanced high at 14%. And one thing that we noticed, there is a dramatic decrease from 44% to 14%. That's a big curve of where we're trying to go. But that is one of the things that we kind of honed on for our last session. Okay, so this is just our data again, our graphs. Okay, and we know most of our state, this is just Texas, we're in the sweet spot, we're in the middle. So then we'll actually look at Haskell. Okay, so this is actually just to review our campus data. So we have about, we know it's grown, but just from the sake of the table report, it's 215 EB students. But actually we have about, what did I say, 300 something, like I think 74 or 324, something with the 4 at the end, 3 something though. Our numbers have grown, but our self-contained ESL kids, those numbers have decreased. So one thing that we notice, and while we do have a special ed teacher, is we have 27% of our students duly served. So not only do they have the language barrier, but they also have potentially the cognitive barriers as well. And then we know at Haskell, so we have 90% of our kids are at advanced. And we have a small percent, like it was so small, I'm gonna put it up there, that's at advanced high. So almost all of our kids are here, which it looks great, right? But we're gonna kind of dive in a little bit more on our data about why this looks great, but why we wanna get here, especially for our 8th grade students. And we know that one of our key measurability pieces will be TEL pass. Okay, so let's just kind of refresh this, our advanced to advanced high. So stronger communication, academic success, college and career readiness. I'm gonna read this again because this is really, really important for our kids, because in about 4 years, like they'll be the adults. They will be, this is what they will be focusing on. So moving to advanced high means students are better prepared for higher education and future jobs where strong English is required. And like I said last time, even for our students who just want to get a trade, now I know, like I said, for our CDL exam, and even I learned even for our cosmetology exam, those exams are now only offered in English, no other language. To where you could use, I think in cosmetology they would allow you to translate some words. Now it is complete English. So even if they want to just do hair or drive trucks, they need to have a strong English foundation in writing. Independence, we want our students to be independent. Of course, going to high school, like you said last time, those teachers, they see about 200 students a day. They don't have time to sit and just give that one-on-one instruction. It's just the reality of it is not going to happen. And so we don't want our kids to fly under the radar. Like, we want our kids to be successful. We want them to graduate. We want them to go into college. We want them to go into trade schools or whatever that may look like. But we don't want them to quit school, drop out, be pushed out. We don't want that to happen. Okay, so advanced and advanced high can understand and use English in most situations, but still make noticeable errors, mainly extra support for grade level reading and writing tasks, sometimes struggle to express complex and abstract ideas clearly, and communication may sound good, but not always completely natural. Still rely on teachers' help, sentence frames, and models. This is kind of the big piece. Like, all this looks like, you're like, well, that's fine. But this right here, this I should have bolded this. They still rely on some teacher help, and in high school, y'all, they really shouldn't rely on much teacher help at all. You know, maybe a question here and there, but they shouldn't need that some. It should be like maybe, or, you know, occasional help. It shouldn't be as regular as some. And those sentence frames or models, when they're writing in high school, they should already know how to formulate sentence stems. You know, they should be able to talk it out and then be able to write it. They shouldn't still need, okay, let me hand this to you, especially for our kids, you know, they've been here 2 years or longer. Because they, you know, especially with the way our model is moving here in Katy, we have a decrease in ESL teachers. So, especially when they go to high school, the numbers are going to be smaller of the teachers that are available to even provide this. So we want to give them the tools and teach them how to independently do this and move from here to there. Okay. Advanced high can use English almost like a native speaker in academic and social settings. Can read, write, and discuss grade level material with little to no support. I'm gonna actually jump back up there. The social settings was really important. So sometimes we'll hear our kids and they're great socially. Like they'll have a conversation and it's going great, but you notice when it comes to academic, especially in 8th grade, for all of our content, we have a lot of content-based specific language. Words that you're just not gonna know unless you know this specific content. I know in science, I know in math, you know, social studies, we get into different words and different topics. This is specific to this, you know, this subject, and sometimes they'll confuse, like, oh, they're good, they can talk to their friends. It's not the same thing as being able, yeah, they can write a little note to their little girl boyfriend, but it's not the same thing as being able, like you said, they'll give them, didn't you say on STAR they actually have math problems where they'll have to,
yeah, they'll have to pull information from word problems for, I'd say, at least 70% of their STAR tests. It's not just, hey, do 3 times -5, it's built into the word problem where they have to pull that information.
Yeah, it's that way for science as well. I think these tests are more English tests than science and math and whatever. So they have to know the academic language and be able to pull information from it. So they need that higher level to be able to process.
So, doing RLA in the past, they're trying to get more reading the students more extra practice, especially our ESL students, extra practice in writing across all core subjects, math, reading, of course, social studies, science. So at the end of the test, they are expected to write a response based on a prompt, and it needs to be at least 3 sentences with little errors. So that's where we're struggling.
And we even found out in our PD that they have to, like, the way that they score tests is using AI. So the same we use AI to score their exams for STAR, and they have to be able to restate the prompt, right? And then answer it. And you know, because if they don't even restate it and they just answer, and then the reason I'm bringing it up, I just want y'all to keep that in the back of your mind for my next slide, that they have to restate their prompt and then answer, and then you'll really see why we don't want them here, why we really want them here. And you know, and teaching them and giving them the opportunities and things like that. And so advanced high. So they can read, write, and discuss grade level material with little to no support. Express complex and abstract ideas clearly with confidence. That's another thing. So for TELPAS, like our kids are scored with their tone. You know, most of especially our students they haven't been here, like my students that have been here less than a year, they use a whisper. They use more of a whisper because they're not confident, you know, in their English. And if we be honest, English is one of the hardest languages to learn, right? It's been proven, like it's proven to success, it's one of the hardest languages. And so if they can't express themselves clearly, we can't go from here to here with confidence, you know? And then communication sounds natural with very few notable errors and works independently and participates fully in class without scaffoldings or without need for much scaffolding. Okay. All right, so this is the prompt. So explain why school uniforms are beneficial for students, right? That sounds like something they would see in an RLA class, right? And so this is your advanced student. School uniforms are good because they help students focus on learning. Students do not have to worry about what they wear. It also makes everyone look the same. This helps students not to get bullied. If you were scoring this for a star, they would get automatically a 0. They would get a 0. And I'm gonna explain why in just a little bit. Just keep that in mind. This will be a 0 for a star. And you're like, what? Yeah, it would be a 0. So school uniforms contribute to a more focused academic environment by minimizing distractions related to clothing choice. When students are not preoccupied with appearance, they can devote greater attention to instructional tasks. Additionally, uniforms promote a sense of unity and reduce visible socioeconomic differences, which may increase instances of bullying. Y'all probably like, Plumber, that's over our kids' head. In 9th grade, this is what they better produce. This is the standard. This is what they have. Now they have to produce it. So the first thing is that they didn't restate the prompt here. Over here, they elaborated on it. Do we understand that? Do y'all see that? Any questions?
And they also have more academic language in the advanced high as well.
And even teaching them, like, you almost have to go back to the basic units when writing. The adjectives, the nouns, the verbs. You know, like our kids they have to have that descriptive language. And you're like, this is not fair. Yeah, but that's why I'm here, so we can talk about the problem, and then later on down the line, we'll talk about how to fix the problem. Okay. All right, so the problem, wait. Okay, so what I've done is that, I don't have a paper, let me grab it real quick. So I gave you all a paper, and then it goes a little bit more in detail, and it has another.
We have the school uniforms.
You have a school uniform?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll look at it. I didn't mean to do that. I meant to give y'all the one it was about writing. It was about water, like water properties, things like that. So it was actually, I actually went and pulled a star one, but I just printed the one. It's okay, we're gonna roll with it. But I wanted y'all to see the common characteristics. So simple sentence structure here. Very simple. Limited academic vocabulary. Basic transition, right? Ideas are correct but minimally elaborated. Okay. Now when you go down to advanced high, complex sentence structures, you see that academic vocabulary, and I should have put in there that content specific academic vocabulary, you know? And then strong transitions, detailed elaborations, formal tone, and logical flow. Y'all see that? Any questions? Anybody want to chime in?
Well, what I thought was interesting in that same PD that you were talking about how this stuff is graded, we saw that data that shows, like in 7th grade RLA, they're actually doing really well. Like I think 73% of them were scoring a 2, so they're the highest score.
Yeah.
But then whenever you look at the writing that they have to do in history, it was like 10% out of 2. So our data is showing us, hey, our kids can write, when it's reading and writing related.
Yep.
But whenever it's content specific,
Mm-hmm.
they don't know how to write about anything that they are not used to having to elaborate and write on themselves.
Yes. Yes, that is very true. Bing, bingo, ding, ding, ding. Yes, that is very, very true. Because I don't know, y'all. I've only been a teacher for 6 years. I'm not sure when this transition occurred. Somewhere it occurred where the state kind of moved. I knew it was like, okay, we just want to see, but then it became a requirement in every subject. And I think what happened is that our kids I don't think they've had enough practice with it yet. And so that's why we're here to talk about the problem, and just kind of, so we're seeing that. And I'm glad that you brought that up, and I hope that, in other PDs, you bring that up. Our kids do know how to write. Our EB kids do know how to write. But when you get content specific, and they don't know what that is, they don't know to write about acids and bases. They don't know to write about, what is it, the Give Me Award that y'all have, or
The Civil War.
the Civil War. They don't know what's something in science. Math, if they have to write about this.
Laws of exponents.
Laws of exponents. My gosh, that's not something that they practice for a long time, and they just have practice with doing. So we see this. We see that where at Haskett at 90%, they can write. We know they can write, but they have trouble with content specific language, and that's why I was very intentional about bringing my teachers in from various content areas because of this. Because I had no idea that y'all have to write about the laws of exponent. My gosh.
They do now that I make them.
The laws of exponents are the laws of exponents.
I would never imagine. Now, when it comes to science, I'm your girl. I can be Miss Frizzle, but I would just be so behooved. You give me that, and that's how our kids feel. And so, what we want to do is that we want to help them out so they can move from here to there. Because, like I said, our 8th grade kids, y'all, once they go there, the chances of them catching up, if those percentages actually dwindle, and I'll actually bring those in my next, in our next section, I'll bring those. But yeah, so they can write, but they struggle when it comes to content specific writing. Okay. So, alright. So the problem at Haskett, EB students plateau at advanced writing, and I should have put up there, and content specific, right? That content specific writing. That's where our problem is. Limited movement to advanced high. So this gap prevents reclassification and long-term success. So problem statement, at Haskett Junior High, EB students demonstrate strong growth up to academic, but lack consistent support to reach academic high writing proficiency. Do we agree? Okay. How about you, a question? Okay. All right. So now let's spend a little bit more time talking about these areas. Okay. So what do you notice about our data? After we did review, what do you notice about our data?
Well, to have 90% at advanced, that's really good, because a lot of other schools, they don't have that. The school I came from, we were nowhere near those numbers. So that's good. It just seems like you said, it goes from 90% to barely anything. So what's causing that plateau right there, right at that margin?
And you brought that up, and when you think about the state average, if I go
It was
back,
like 44.
I think it was so state is here. Wait, I think so. Camera purposes. So the state is kind of here, and Haskett is here. So great things are going on. Great conversations, great teacher tools, and that's why I brought up. You remember when I talked about the teacher data? That was to bring up to the point to where Haskett has experienced teachers, and it shows in our data. Don't get me wrong, we love our new teachers, we value our new teachers, but having those, most teachers here have been in education at least, and the average is about 6 years, and so that's why you do see that in our data. That's why I brought up, our even our demographics, because we have, okay. So what patterns concern you the most?
That they're stuck. They're stuck at
Mhm.
that
At
point.
the advance.
Yeah.
I think also, do teachers feel comfortable including writing in their classes? Because us math teachers were just talking,
Yeah.
kind of frustrated seeing like, what do some of these kids learn in elementary school when it comes to math? Because they're coming in with things that I'm like, you should have learned this in 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade. And then you get to junior high, and I think now it's almost the opposite. It's like, maybe teachers don't know, here's how I can integrate writing without having them do an essay like in math. Sometimes their writing is just getting them comfortable, putting words on a piece of paper. Hey, you can answer this in 1 sentence.
Yep.
Use academic language, but you can answer this in 1 sentence. We've been doing like a little rap response every month where they have to do an SCR. You have a week to give me 3 to 5 sentences answering this prompt. But like, let's let you feel comfortable starting to use academic language, that it doesn't necessarily have to be all right, everybody sit down, we're in science class, and today you were gonna write a 5-paragraph essay on how biodiversity changes when a different population of animal comes into something. I tried my best.
We're learning that right now. That's why we're laughing. We're learning biodiversity. Yeah, but that's true, and I think that that's something we're gonna talk about when we talk about implementing it. You know, we have to talk about the barriers, and that's something that I want you to keep that for our next session when we talk about the actual implementation piece. So that is very true. Our teachers actually, we know their experience, we know they're good, but are they comfortable integrating it into math? Are they comfortable integrating it consistently into science? And then how do you do that? What does that look like? And then I know, Mr. Bruce, our freshman, I know a lot of our science is I want to say inquiry based, correct? A lot of it's inquiry based. Can you kind of touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, it's a lot of it is them discovering the concept, that's abstract, so that's really hard, not just for our EVs, but it's hard for our other kids, our general ed kids as well. Them not knowing, we're not preloading things, and I'm new to education as well. I'm used to my other school, we gave all the vocabulary up front. We did all the things up front, but this is them exploring, and it's difficult for them.
It is, and so that actually goes into my next question. What might the barriers explain why students stop at advanced? And I think, like you just said, it's some of it is just difficult, right? But even though it's difficult, we have to kind of pivot, and we have to figure out, even though this is inquiry based, what strategies can we implement to move them? Because if we, like I said, the state is 45 and we're at 90. Haskett is doing great, but how can we make sure? And then, and of course, while this is just specifically is for our EV students, we know some of the things that we implement, they can be for all students, right? You know, we can take these tools, especially for our SPED kids, because like we said, we have 27% that are dually served. And then, which area should we prioritize together?
I think also like staff education on what it means to be advanced, and that we don't stop when it's good enough. Because I think you even see this in the classroom. How much do you prioritize your kids that are testing at the meets level? How often do you prioritize your kids that are at the master's level? Or are you so caught up in your does not meet approaches kids, you're giving everything to your lower kids to raise them up? Well, some of your kids here might be dropping. Or they're plateauing, like what we see. And I think especially like to a teacher, a title like advanced, oh, that sounds like they're doing great.
Yeah.
Which is, they're not doing poorly or anything, but they're also not progressing. But I'm wondering if it's just, it is not a priority because it's not a flashing red light saying, hey, something's wrong, or hey, we really need to push, like beginning and intermediate. Like just those words alone make you think, okay, we gotta push. Oh, advanced, high. How many people know the difference between this?
Yeah.
And picking back kind of off of that, you said something about when they're doing good enough, right? Maybe our expectations are not high, and we don't push them because we say, oh, they're EB kids. This is as high as they can get, instead of pushing them a little bit more.
And we know sometimes our kids, they will go down in levels to get out of work. Like, they'll know, like, they will intentionally, like, me and Bruce are seeing it. Our kids I probably have some advanced kids, maybe advanced high even, and they went down to beginner level so they could sit with their little friends and chat. No, you don't need that, you know, and then also even showing our EB parents the difference. So I think that, you know, the teacher training, showing our parents why we need to, but even pulling in our students. This is why this is important, okay? And so that's something, those are 3 things that we can talk about and that we can go to. So our next video when we meet together, it'll be about implementation. How do we actually implement this? And what do they look like in science, math, you know, and Mr. Bennett's pushing in, and even in Miss Canning's, you know, social studies class. Okay.
And it is reading too, for all of it.
Yes, yeah, well, even reading. I think I didn't mention reading because I know reading has, I've strategically met with reading, and reading has kind of already begun this. This is why I didn't bring in exactly a reading teacher, because they're doing good. We're kind of the areas that need I was a little more intentional about the areas that need more persistence. Okay.
Yes.